we've spoken before about, the exit. And I think with an entrepreneurship, people exit a business and that's seen as a huge moment. A lot of the time, it wasn't actually a good exit. Whereas from our conversations, I understand that it was a legitimate exit. This made you money. That was a really big and successful move.
Yeah, I think marketing exits are not as attractive as like tech exits or anything like that. So you see, have these X multipliers and so on online. In reality, a marketing exit is more of like an acquisition of the assets you have than an IP point of view, because your IP is your workforce and your clients, which can both leave very quickly. So that, I'd say, means that it's not maybe as gold plated as what you would see, for example, like tech startups who scale and sell to VCs and so on. But I think for me, the main reason why I wanted to do it was actually because I wanted to do something else. And I think probably from starting at such a young age, I was almost bored of it, in the sense of I'd done it for such a long time. It'd been my childhood. I'd almost ready to turn over a new leaf and go now and do something else. So in reality, was I thinking that at the time? Not really. But I think on reflection, I realised subconsciously that's what was going through my mind.
That's really interesting. Do you remember any particular big moments or stories from that time? Do you remember where you were, how you felt, and also what the people around you were doing?
Some big moments. I mean, media-wise, there was so the Times published this list, and they called it the most powerful teenagers on the planet. And I was at the top of that, and I was 17 at the time, but I didn't know about it. Like, they hadn't contacted me before. There was no sort of arrangement or anything like that. And it literally happened on that following Monday. So the day after it came out, a friend of mine who actually did a TV show like a couple of weeks before said, "Oh, well done on the Times article." I was like, "What do you mean?" I remember sort of going back and forth on WhatsApp with him and then realizing that had come out. So I think there are times like that where it's an amazing achievement, but like I almost didn't get a chance to think, wow, this is coming out, because it almost happened afterwards. But I mean, obviously that moment, I think for my family was a big moment, because that's where something that they're used to, which is the paper, the news, recognizing that was really nice. I think a lot of the other wins, for example, big clients and so on, yes, you can celebrate them with your team, but like going home to their family or friends, maybe not as much relevant for them, because they just don't know what it means.
It's a really good point. When I talk to my grandma about my business, she doesn't get it. She would love to get it, but she just doesn't. So I just say, the Facebook's going well, thanks. End of, and that's it. But I like the idea of, it was at that point, that Times article, where all of a sudden your success was spoken about in a language which they understood.
Yeah.
In a medium which they read.
Yeah, exactly that.
Whoa. How did that feel?
For me, it felt good and bad, because I quite like the separation of like work and like personal life, in the sense of, for me, I never liked coming home and reciting everything I'd done throughout the day to my family, to my friends and so on, but purely because I felt like I was reliving the whole day again. I like just to sort of, okay, that's finished now. Now I'm Ben, the teenager. And I think that's still the case now. Like when I'm out with my friends and they ask, "Oh, how's business?" I'm always thinking, "Oh, okay, yeah, it's going well, thank you." And I try not to get into too far, I think, because I quite like that split, and it helps me, manage my mental health and make sure that I'm not 24/7 just thinking about the same thing. So I think to one side of things, when sort of reality hit for like friends and family, that was negative in a sense of I was now being asked more questions of, "Oh wow, what does that mean? What does that mean?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." And obviously I'm going to explain it because they mean a lot to me. I'm going to say that. But the other side of it was also, I think sometimes it's nice for them to know that you are doing well, not from a big-headed point of view, but from a point of view of, often they used to worry about me and used to be like, I'm employing a member of staff, and my mum especially would be like, is that safe? Do you know how to do that? Like, because it is a risk, and for someone who's not in that environment, it is a scary thing for them. So I think it had its pros and its cons, but I think obviously the pros was by far the best part. The fact that I think it both made me realise reality of the situation I was in, but also made my family realise that this is actually something legitimate and something that's growing really well.
So I think it was around the exit time, obviously tons of press articles about you. We had Richard Branson calling you one of the most exciting entrepreneurs ever, I think that was the quote. This is, huge stuff, huge press, huge attention. What did that do either for you, or what did that do to you kind of emotionally and mentally?
I'd say, again, pros and cons. You have the amazing part from the business point of view, as I was now meeting some phenomenal leaders, some people who would never normally be able to pitch to in my life, and I could then pitch them our services, and it led to us winning some amazing contracts with brands like Unilever or like the government and so on, who you had to network in to get in front of them, but once we were in, we were able to do a lot of work with them. So I think that was the amazing part. I think for a certain period of time you can get lost in that, and I think I did to a certain point where it was like, oh wow, this event or this is happening, doing this, doing that, and you forget actually you've got a business to run. And I do think there was a line, and I learned the hard way, I'd say, through that time, that if you go too far down one route, your business will suffer. And a lot of people, I think, try to start a business, and then maybe the exciting, the sort of glamorous side of being an entrepreneur takes over, and they just want to be known as the entrepreneur, not actually known as the business they're running and actually providing value to clients and customers and so on. So I think that for maybe 6 months, I probably got lost in that, and I had to pull myself back in to go, hang on, reality is I'm paying for like families to have an income. I've got clients who I'm responsible for, but there's a more serious situation going on here that needs to be handled properly and professionally. So I think that was in the main thing. But yeah, I'd say the other side of all of that is when it came to meeting all these amazing people, I think that also made me realize that I want to do something else. Made me realize that I could be in the room, for example, at a meeting at like the Palace, and meet these absolutely phenomenal people, and then go back and feel like I'm just doing the same thing for the same people. So I'd say that also was a big driving factor for me to then be okay with doing the exit, saying, actually, you know what, this is something which I want to do, because I want to do more of this ability to make a difference and make a change. I didn't feel like I was doing that in the marketing company.